So on your first visit in the Crossroads, chances are that you stumbled upon the mission called the Heart of Corruption, in which you have to open up a 3-sealed door that brings you to a very big boss fight. But to open that, you're going to need to find 3 enemy champions, collect their essences, so that you can open 3 specific areas within the Crossroads that will give you access to 3 boss fights to unlock the 4th and final one, which is going to be right behind this gate. And on the way there, you will get some really amazing items and possibly the best weapon for the rogue, at the very least from what I'm able to tell. So today I'm going to show you how to complete these and also an overview of some of the best rewards out of it. Now, first things first, we're going to have to open up 3 main gates in the Crossroads. This includes the Gate of Deep Sorrow, the Gate of Parched Hope, and finally the Gate of Reflection. So the first one, the Gate of Deep Sorrow, can be unlocked by defeating the champion in Treviso, just across the Antivan hideout right here on this side of the map. From the main waypoint, just jump over the gap and head over into the main courtyard, and here you will have to defeat the encounter. It's relatively easy, so once you're done with it, just grab that orb from it. From here, we'll go back to the Crossroads and head over to the Gate of Deep Sorrow, which we can now go ahead and open. The next section is going to be rather linear and eventually leads to a boss fight. For this boss and every other boss like this that you will encounter in this guide, you're going to want to focus on one thing. When the boss goes into absorbing the energy and generates a shield, you will want to burn down that shield right away. Deal as much damage to it as possible and don't let it recharge. This is going to help you take it down much faster. But once you're done, you're going to destroy that barrier, and now you will notice that you just got another essence from this boss. This is the one that we need to put at the 3 main gate back at the main entrance. But you also get a unique amulet, which gives you plus 20% when you are low health, plus it makes your low health to now trigger at about 30%, and your health cannot exceed above 70%, unfortunately, so I would recommend this maybe way later into the game. It can be good for some extra damage. For the next 2 gates, we're gonna have to head over and progress in the game all the way until we reach the Hasburg Wetlands. For that, you're going to need to recruit pretty much all the party members and progress enough into the story so that you open up the area and go ahead and play in it. So continuing to the Gate of Parched Hope, the champion for it is going to be right here around the center part of the map. One of the quests even brings you here, plus of course you're going to see this huge postule that you have to destroy once again. So just go ahead, destroy it, defeat the champion, and once you got its essence, you can now go back at the main gate in the Crossroads. You can now open that up, and again it's going to bring you to a very similar section, which is also going to give you a boss fight very similar to the previous. The same rules apply just like before. Once you're done with that, grab the essence, but also make sure that you don't skip on the unique chest. So make your way to the left side of the arena. You're going to notice a secondary path which brings you to this larger chest. Opening this up is going to give you the Andraste's Will. Besides being a nice reference to Inquisition, this also gives you extra burning damage and turns any affliction you apply into burning damage over time instead. And yes, this also works on the rogue. You can pretty much have all of your bleeds and all of your necrotic damage replaced by burning damage over time, which is really awesome because rogues don't have innate damage over time. And yes, this absolutely also works with Cordova's Toothpick to turn the bleeding stacks into burning damage stacks instead. However, you're going to lose out on DPS because the bleed stacks can go all the way up to 10, but burning seems to only go all the way up to 4, as you don't have any skills to buff the stacks on that. So at least for rogue, I still recommend the Cordova on its own. Anyway, once you're done with that, you can head over and just put in the 2nd out of 3 essence in the gate, and now you're ready for the 3rd and final encounter. So for that, we need to open up the Gate of Pale Reflection, and to do that, we need to find the champion, which is right here, just a bit further down south from the main waypoint. There's nothing in your way to block the entrance. Just head over down south in the same Hasburg Wetlands, and you're going to again have a very similar champion encounter. Also, make sure that you open up the chest. It should be right next to the champion's spawn point, and this is going to give you a different unique depending on the type of class that you use. So for the rogue, for example, I got the Optimist Span, which is actually a very strong sword. By default, it comes with very high physical and staggered damage, and it also has a 100% damage increase when attacking from the air, which unfortunately we don't do that often. But on the ground, you get a minus 30% damage penalty, so I'm not sure if it completely makes up for that high base physical damage. Compared, of course, to Cordova's Toothpick, which is like 181 extra damage, but the bleed stacks is what really puts that DPS ahead. For the mage, on the other hand, you get the Light of Stark Heaven, which is a unique amulet that boosts your weapon damage by 25% at max mana and at 50 mana or below. And for warrior, I'm not really sure exactly because I don't have a warrior currently at that stage. But now we're ready to head over at the Gate of the Pale Reflection. Simply open that up and you're going to have a third boss encounter. I'm not gonna lie, this is going to be much more difficult than the previous two, but it still uses the same tactics in the down phase, so go ahead and defeat it if you can. Also, before you leave, grab the chest in the area. This is going to give you another unique item. And in the case of the Rogue, it literally gives you one of the best items for the class in the whole game. This is going to give you a necrotic damage talent that also comes with extra necrotic damage boost, and it also gives you a permanent necrotic weapon whenever you enter combat. So this means at the start of the combat, whenever there's enemies, you're going to see it immediately imbued by necrotic damage, which means you can take advantage of all the bonuses in your skill tree, especially if you use necrotic damage. You can also deal all of that against the target and stack up those debuffs even better. Plus, in my opinion, it just couples so well with the Cordovas blade to apply both necrotic as well as the bleed. If you want to see a build around these, let me know down below in the comments. I've been using one and it's actually super fun and also very efficient. But now that we've done all of this, we're ready to finish the mission and go to the final boss encounter. So just head over at the main gate and slot that final essence in. This is going to open up that adjacent path and you can go downwards towards the final encounter and your final reward. So I'm gonna give a huge spoilers warning here for everybody. If you don't want to see the boss encounter and instead just skip to the rewards, you're going to have the timestamps right now on the screen. So make sure you go ahead and do that, or maybe check it out at a later date. In the meantime, for everybody else, here it goes. So the final encounter is going to be, you guessed it, a dragon boss encounter against the Revenant Dragon. Now, in terms of attacks, you have to be careful at only about 3 of them. The first 2 are going to be all about the leaping and the jumping attack. They tend to do that a lot. Second one is going to be at 75% and 25% HP remaining respectively. You're going to see them pulling off this veil that kind of just mutes everybody and kind of gives you temporary blindness. So in this case, you can no longer resort to using your party mate's abilities. You will have to fight the dragon pretty much on your own with your own abilities. Besides that, just stay close to its feet if you play as melee and just pay attention to its sweeps. If you play at range, it should be actually a bit more easy, but definitely pay attention to its breath attacks. And from this point on, you're just going to have to rinse and repeat until you take it down, and then just have the final part of the mission pretty much complete. And with that completed, you're going to get a bunch of rewards. One of them is going to be this final treasure chest right here with the final unique inside. Now, in my case, I got the Last Resort on the Rogue. Each time that I use an ability that hits an enemy, I gain a 20% extra damage, but also a minus 20% penalty to all my resistances, and the bonus will reset if I am going to do any parries or any dodges. So for me, it's actually going to be very, very useless, but maybe, I don't know, for a warrior, it could actually get some benefits out of it. And yeah, that pretty much concludes today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.